Hi, everyone. Welcome to You Inside You. We have a special guest today. This is Melinda Colon. She is a powerhouse. We're so honored to have her here today. She is an award-winning business and marketing professional and has developed strategies to helping business leaders to dominate the marketplace. And clients pay more than $50,000 for just a one VIP day with Melinda, where she consults businesses and how to scale their company exponentially. When you listen to her, you'll immediately recognize that she's one of the most masterful and engaging growth specialists that you have the privilege of learning from. And I know that she's kind, she's caring, highly ambitious, unstoppable woman with a true care for people. She has a huge heart and their success in life. So if you're ready, welcome, Melinda.
Let's go. Thank you so much for that introduction. I just love hearing it. It's okay. Just talking about like real girl talk, right? Even as a powerhouse, as someone who makes huge financial impacts for people's lives, huge impacts in people's lives in general, just like mindset wise, hearing it's also an opportunity for me to perceive and accept that is who I am, right? And so I just, top of mind, I was like, whoa, I got to be grateful for that opportunity and just where I am right now and where I'm going. Because I mean, sky's the limit.
Oh, I love that. We just had an episode on our live about really acknowledging the fact that you're exactly where you're supposed to be in life. So isn't that just kind of that moment of,
Yes.
wow, I did all of this. Like I created this. Like, thank you for this moment of being here and knowing that I'm just exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was walking my dogs. I take my dogs. I'm so grateful that I get to walk them every day, 2-3 times a day if I want to. And we have this huge lake by our house, and there were some butterflies that were kind of bouncing from one flower to the next. And so I just stopped in that moment. I just was watching them just bounce around. And if they had a brain and if I could read their mind, I was like envisioning that they were saying, oh, there's so much, there's more than enough for me. So I'm just bouncing from one flower to the next. I'm so excited, right? Ooh, I'm gonna have a little bit of this, and ooh, there's a little bit there. Ooh, there's just it's just kind of bouncing around. And I thought, like, how grateful am I to live in this world and be surrounded by abundance and live within abundance. That is amazing. Even the butterflies know so. Like, it's just like, whoa, kind of hits you a little bit.
Yeah, really appreciating that moment. I love that. But I'm sure it hasn't always been that easy to step into that moment of gratitude, because I can just kind of hear some people be like, okay, Melinda, is it that easy peasy and butterflies all the time, right? Because you serve people on the highest level. So I'm really just curious to know a little bit about your journey, like kind of where you started and what got you to serve these leaders and in scaling and growing exponentially.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the butterflies because they are actually the identity that has carried through most of my life. When I was very young, 4 or 5 years old, my mom was diagnosed again with cancer. And as a teenager, my mother was sick with cancer. So being a child who was taking care of an adult most of her life, I put myself second. And I was serving my mother, and I am and always have been very grateful to do that. The butterfly was her indication to me that everything will be okay. So whenever I see a butterfly, I think of when my mother told me that story, that one time when I was terrified of her prognosis, that everything will be okay. There is hope right in the moment. Like, that is just a reminder that everything will be okay. I can't tell you how many butterflies, and when they just appear I am driving on the highway and a butterfly goes by my window. And I'm like, I am going 70 miles an hour on like 4 lanes, and a butterfly flies past my
Mm,
windshield.
mm.
That is not a coincidence.
No.
That is intentional.
Oh
So
my
no, it has not ever been perfect, right? And it still
God.
isn't, right? I'm still a
Yeah.
human being. Well, there was a time where I just struggled. I struggled with my health. I struggled with my mentality, my mindset.
Mm.
And I was in a 9 to 9 job, not a 9 to 5, a 9 to 9. And that was on the best days. There
Wow.
were days where I was working 12, 14-hour days, sitting at my desk, eating 3 meals, maybe sometimes some candies and snacks in between, just stress eating my life away, just working and working just to fit into this space that I was told that I only had permission to live in.
Mm.
And when I realized, I literally took a step back, because I literally passed out at work, and I literally passed out driving home on my way from work. And that was just like it, just watching my husband in the corner in the ER and looking at him and how he's trying to keep it together to be supportive and strong. Yet I can see past his eyes that he is like nervous, scared that these doctors are coming in and out and they cannot figure out what's wrong with me. They think
Mm.
I'm having a stroke. And it
Wow.
was just like at that moment, I was thinking to myself as they were, basically stretching my arms out and doing all different types of testing on me. I cannot be this person anymore. If I
Mm.
continue this way, I will die. I will die. And my mother's struggle for so long was in vain, and that's not going to happen.
Mm.
That's not happening. So I just made the decision to put myself first. I made a decision to say, you know what? I cannot live that life anymore. I'm
Mm.
letting go of trying to wait in line to get permission to live a life that God has given me, no one else has given me. I'm tired of requesting a paycheck or time to take off to spend time with
Mm.
family. I am tired of rescheduling a doctor's appointment because I'm afraid to set boundaries. I'm tired of eating at my desk every meal and
Mm.
missing out on eating dinner with my husband. Like, I am just tired of that.
Yeah.
And I had to make a decision, but it was like, it was the biggest decision that I could have ever made in my life
Yeah.
after freelancing for 13 years
Wow.
while working a full-time job. I was
Wow.
like, I need to let go of something, but I'm
Mm.
going to let go of the thing that I just don't fit in. I'm going
Mm.
to just go ahead and release the pain, the struggle, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the stuck
Mm.
feeling, and just say, I want to just step into something that I enjoy. And
Mm.
I remember my coworkers, my last day, and they were just like, gosh, you have so much courage. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to accept that. But I know truly that if you're saying that, it's like you're in the jail cell too. I'm
Mm.
not, I'm not accepting that as courage. I'm accepting that as a release. I'm accepting that as finally I'm letting go of what I had tried to condition my mind to do,
Mm.
be, and just accept myself for who I am. I dream, I imagine, I create the world that I live in. And of
Mm.
course, it wasn't roses and daisies at that moment, right? But I worked through it, and I did everything I could to work through it.
So I'm getting this like visual, Melinda, as you're talking about this, that you're saying it's not so much about, we stay small and stuck and then we grow into more. You're almost saying this is not who we are. This is some imagined like beach ball that we're holding underwater. And as soon as we kind of letting it go and we kind of really step into who we are and allow
Mhm.
ourselves to not be those misconstrued boxes of I ought to and should, that
Yeah.
when you shed that off, it was like, now like the real you came out and could finally start living the way you want to live.
Yes. It was.
Wow.
It wasn't peeling onions. It was cutting it in half. It was
It
like,
was like just ripping.
just no. We're not doing it anymore. We're gonna. it was a decision. It was a scary decision to make because not a lot of people were doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the message.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're intended to create something completely unique, because you are completely unique.
Yeah.
And it's when I see other people step into that, when I see my clients step into that, my family step into that, it's just like the joy magnifies throughout the room. It's not just in that person, it is everything that person has relinquished and given permission to other people to give themselves permission. Like, wow, you know what? If Melinda can create, I can create.
Yeah.
And if I can create, someone else can create, because I'm impacting their lives.
Wow. It's
Impact
a ripple
at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a ripple effect. Impact at the end of the day is the ripple effect, right? It is the water that flows endlessly.
That's amazing. So tell me, how long time ago was this that you made this decision that life was changing?
It was right before the pandemic. And I need to emphasize right before. I actually intentionally mean to say right before. Passing out on my way home, driving, that happened in the fall, right before the holidays, right before Christmas, actually, because we were supposed to go to Florida. And then my doctors telling me that I could not drive for 9 weeks. I couldn't drive for 9 weeks. So my boss said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and set you up at home. They had never done that before. No one in the company has ever worked from home.
Goosebumps.
Right? And 9 weeks. So holidays go by and my doctor gives me an extension. He's like, I need you to stay at home a little bit longer. Okay, let's do that. And I remember getting the phone call from my boss telling me, we need you back at the office. Now, I also remember the phone call later, it was like about a week or so after that, saying, we're sending everybody home.
Here's another butterfly just coming in the picture, right? It's like, you can't make that up.
You cannot make that up. It was right before the pandemic. I remember it so vividly, and I thought to myself, "This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
This is opportunity."
Yeah.
When opportunities show up, we just have to accept them.
Yeah.
We have to accept them, and it's that instinct. It's that immediate moment, that feeling that initially you get. That says a lot about what you believe.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought, oh, this is my chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my chance. You know,
and this is really like the you inside you, your inner guidance, or, you know, a lot of people say, you know, the voice of God or the universe speaking to you. I mean, there is this nudging that was undeniable for you that just needed to happen. And we can all recognize that sometimes it's so soft that we don't always pay attention to it, but it was loud enough for you to really pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally, you know, go into entrepreneurship or die. I mean, I did not have many choices.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm grateful because God knows that if I had too many choices, I would have not made any choices. Right? So I'm going to keep it really simple for you, Melinda. You get to decide, but you know, these are the two ways, right? It's just a big fork in the road.
You can pick
that
this
is it.
or this.
That's it.
No,
and I'm like, yep, that works. That works. I'll go that way. And so, you know, I still work my full-time job, but as you know, it's like I don't have to commute. I'm not dealing with office drama. I'm not dealing with other stuff. I can just focus on my work. And so what took me 8 hours, you know, of work, it took me 8 hours. I didn't have to work 9 to 9 anymore. I could work 8:30 to 5 or 8 to 5. In my lunch, I mean, it's so funny. I sat downstairs in my living room. I watched daytime television, warmed up my lunch, walked outside with my dogs. I was just, had so much time
Yeah.
to think.
Yeah.
And that was when I started thinking. It's like when you're going so fast and you don't have direction,
Yeah.
that's when we keep hitting walls. It's
Yeah.
like once we have direction, we can go fast. But if we don't take the time to think, then it's like, what are we doing? We're going fast, but we're going nowhere fast, right?
Yeah.
We want to go towards what our destination is, what we truly want and desire for our lives.
And I love that, because it's like you're kind of getting off the hamster wheel a little bit here. And when you get yourself time to actually just be still and be able to think, be with yourself, you work more efficiently. You get your work done. I mean, there's also less distraction, right? So environment kind of allow yourself to have a little more of that time to yourself. But when we finally become still, and we call these time ins, like when we have a time in to ourselves to really just take status. How am I feeling right now? Am I hungry? I mean, just like, let's start with basic needs, right? But also, this is where creation happens. I mean, if we're not still enough that we can kind of hear where life wants to take us next, and look for those opportunities, then we're gonna miss it. So this time in and time to yourself, like you're talking about, is really, really important. So how did that take you to the next step?
It's a necessity. I didn't realize that I needed a time in until I had one. And then it was as if I was looking back at my life thinking, how did I get here? Like, how did 2 decades go by? Like, how did that happen? Because I was going so fast. I even remember working, just working crazy hours, rushing to get to work, putting my mascara on at 6:30 in the morning just to get to work, right? And at the end of the day, I'm driving home, but I have the music up so I don't think. Like, it's just the small things that I was more aware of when I stopped to think. And what that did, how did that change my life? Well, it changed me because I gave started giving myself permission to dream. Well, during that time, if you remember, people were, crafting the face masks, right, during COVID. And there's a lot of people wearing face masks. There were fabric face masks. Now, I break out just when my dog is like right here next to me. Like, I just break out. I am very sensitive. I have crazy allergies. So the idea of wearing the same face mask more than one day at a time, it terrified me. So I thought to myself, there's got to be other people who are thinking the same thing. And so I created my first product. I created a face mask cleaner, and I sold it on Etsy. I had there was one case, I just sold it. I was just like, well, let me see. I didn't market it. I didn't advertise it. I just posted it on Etsy. I was really creative with the description, and it sold out within a couple of days.
What?
And then oh my gosh, I need to do this again. So I was like, okay. And I told my husband, and my husband was like, yes. So we got really fancy stickers to put on the labels, and the bottles, we bought them on Amazon, as many as we could, because at that time, any type of spray bottle was hard to find because the manufacturer was shutting down. So we just could get anything we can. We were running around to go to Michael's and Walmart and like everywhere, whatever spray bottle we could get. And the plastic ones, so that we can easily bubble ship them. I remember going to Dollar Tree to get the bubble mailers and everything. It was just like a thing. That's what we did.
I love it.
We're sending them out. We had like repeat clients that were, I remember, I can't say her name, but like she was in New York. And so every time we would refill, she would buy. And we sold out in another couple weeks. And it was like in just a couple of weeks, you know what I mean? It was just insane. I created a product. I put it out there. It helped people.
Yeah.
It delivered a result. And then they wanted more. And it was just like, that was easy.
Yeah.
So what if I did it, like, what if I went bigger? And that really was like, that was the key. It really was the key for me. Because I mean, if you Google Fortis Clean and you go to our Facebook page, I think we probably have about 10 posts, if that, and not a lot of engagement because everything was on Etsy. It just, I didn't promote it. I didn't send an email out. I didn't do anything. It was just like gone because everybody knew the value of it. That's what's so important about demand. So when I realized that was a demand, I was thinking to myself, what other skills do I have that are in demand right now? And I reflected back to what I have spent most of my career in, which is marketing. And that's what I provided. I started providing marketing services, consulting services, contracting, things like that. And that kind of just blew up. And when I put in my 2 weeks notice, I was terrified. I think I DM'd maybe a handful of friends that were entrepreneurs in the industry, and only one responded back. And that one ended up being one of my first clients.
Wow.
And so it was really cool just working alongside and under her. And she taught me a lot about entrepreneurship, and I was just so grateful. But again, it's like, I have a decision, right? Like, I have a decision. I can stay here and stay small, or I can allow myself to grow into the person that I'm supposed to be. And so I did that, right? And it was just like baby step to baby step to baby step. I increased my rates. I increased my offerings. I made decisions to say no to opportunities because I thought to myself, am I going to be happy? I always reflected back to what it felt like being old Melinda in corporate. And I said, I don't want to feel like that anymore. So if it's not right for me, I'm not doing it. So I remember clients saying, well, what do you do this? Will you do that? And I said, nope, I will do just this, right? Like, I will do just that. And they respected that and honored it because I was in integrity, right? And so it just changed my business, changed my life. And just having the opportunity to, hit a full-time income my first year in business, having built consistency in my first year of business, I was ready. Like, I was like, you are ready, Melinda. So let's do it again. Let's grow. Let's keep growing. Let's keep growing. And that's what we did every year.
That's amazing. I mean, it's truly amazing. Very inspiring, especially the allowing to continue to listen to your inner guidance, stay in integrity with that, start setting the boundaries. And it must be really rewarding as soon as you kind of make those changes and you say the first no. And a lot of times we don't believe that people actually will respect it, or they're going to get upset with you. They're going to be angry with you. But it's quite the opposite, right? You start because you come from integrity, and you do it in a kind, loving way, right?
Of course.
And maybe send them somewhere else. I mean, there's a lot of love in that, but mostly love to yourself. But that respect is going to be mutual. Other people are going to respect that. They're going to honor that. They're going to appreciate that. And now you feel more aligned with yourself.
Yes, 100%.
Do more of it. That's the ripple effect, really stepping into your true self. Yeah.
And those relationships with those clients that I had to say no to, they respected me more. So our relationship grew faster. There was a mutual respect. I wasn't hired help. I wasn't helping out in a pinch, right? Like, I was a partner in doing business. So when I came with solutions and they were excited, I have had so many clients from my first year of business come back years later and say, I want you. And I'm like, well, my price is not my price anymore. Like, it's going up a little bit. And they're like, doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a testament that if you are true to yourself, then it doesn't matter, like, high ticket, low ticket, whatever, none of that stuff matters. What matters is the experience that you're delivering for your clients and your customers and even your partners. Oh my gosh, so many referrals. The first year of business, it's full of referrals, and then it starts to kind of dwindle out a little bit as you start to build, or at least that happened to me. And I had to go out there and market myself as an introvert. I identify myself as a little wallflower. I'd like to stay in my little small circle and go to events where I knew people there, so I could just like cling on to them like as a little sticky, so it was terrifying. What I realized in that process of stepping out of my shell and being more loud, right? And I'm still not loud enough, but I'm getting there, is that I needed to separate emotion from logic. Like emotional decisions are temporary.
Yeah.
Logical decisions last a lot longer. And so I thought to myself, well, what do I want? I had to cast that big vision. What do I want? I want my business to grow. Okay. Well, how do you think that's going to happen, Melinda? You're smart, you're intelligent, you're wise. How do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah.
I need to be more visible. Well, how do you think it's going to be more visible? Like just going through those steps with myself.
Yeah.
And realizing that the emotion, sure, it can be there, but it can be in the passenger seat. Let me drive.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's there. Fear is always there when I'm speaking on stage. It's there when I'm, presenting a 5 or 6 figure offer. It's there. But I still do it anyway because I think about the experience and the results that person is going to receive. And that's what helps me stay in line and integrity.
I love that. I mean, let's just reflect on that for a second, because anybody who's watching, this is really the key to be able to separate. We kind of talk about separating the ego from our true self, right? Because we're more likely to make aligned and decisions from integrity in that logical part,
Yes.
depending on how much in our head, I guess we are, but if we're really staying alignment, we're in creativity, we're really following that next inspired thing. It should not be guided through our emotions, like you're saying, because it could be excitement or terror, right?
Yes.
But 5 minutes later, it might have shifted. So then we're going to be all over the place. And so I love that if we just continue to kind of separate that for a little bit and be able to step in and just take fear under your arm and take the emotions with you wherever they're at on your journey, but still kind of step outside your comfort zone, keep the logical steps of it, you'll get to the next level, right?
100%. It's that you just said it perfectly. It's logical, it's focused. Because if we're, there's so many things I love to do. And there are so many projects I want to deploy all at the same time. That's not discipline. Like that's not discipline. I do believe that we're all given a lot of ideas and a lot of creative ideas that are intended to come to fruition in some way, shape, or form. But there's timing to it, right? And when I gave myself permission to dream and imagine and create, and then also say there is a time and place for it. It's like I can't. There's no container that can fit me. Right. Like I don't fit into a container. What does Melinda do? Melinda solves problems, right? Like Melinda solves problems. She's a healer. So that's how I step into situations, and when I really know that I have impacted the way that I believe I'm intended to impact is when I receive the affirmations and confirmations back from people where they say, man, Melinda, you're so warm. You're so easy to talk to. I can tell you everything. And they typically do, right? I'll meet somebody on the street, or a doctor's office and sit there for 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden I know everything.
You just have that vibe, Melinda. You really do.
Have that vibe. Because it's intentional. It's intentional to help people.
Yeah.
Like I just want to help them.
Yeah.
If just talking to me, a stranger is good for them, then great. Then I hope the next step works for them even better. That they have released and made space for more creativity, more imagination, and more of what they're intended to do on this planet. So that's like one of my opportunities to just sit back, listen, and allow them to connect with God through me. And I'm just like I'm like, okay, that's cool. And it just never leaves me. It's so funny. It's like, okay, so what did she say? I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you what she said, because it wasn't me that she was speaking to, right? Like, it wasn't something that she needed or wanted for me. It was just for her. It was that moment for her.
Oh my
And I just
goodness.
let that be for her, right? And so that is discipline. That's discipline. Knowing when you're supposed to show up and
Mm,
how you're supposed to show up. Um, that's discipline,
this
so,
is so
right?
inspiring. Oh my gosh, like
Thank you.
serving on so many levels. I mean, not only do you reach people through their hearts and you're kind of a channel for them for their own creativity,
Yeah.
and then actionably taking them, helping them, taking them by their hand
Mhm.
and in creating these offers or
Yeah.
scaling. So tell me a little bit about, like, somebody's listening right now and they're like, Melinda, I think you might be able to help me. Like, I have wished for, you're my opportunity.
Mhm.
Like, what do you do for people? Who are you serving
Mhm.
specifically so people can say, this is me? And how do they find you?
Yeah. So the best way to find me, thank you so much for asking that question. I want to just actually, what I was laughing at is something that happens quite often actually, is when I meet somebody and they have a business or they're thinking about starting a business, and they're like, so how do I work with you? And like, and I'm like, well, I only work with business owners. And they're like, okay, so I have a business idea, so I'll get back to you, but I want to make sure that we stay in contact. Like, they're just creating a business just to work with me. It's just amazing.
I love
I'm
that.
very grateful for that. Who I work with are business owners who want to scale past six figures, business owners who are just struggling. Still have a little bit of a corporate residual, even if they didn't work in corporate, where they're chained to their desk, they're working nonstop, they haven't set boundaries with anybody, and they're resentful of their business, but they're like, man, we make okay money and I want to make more, but I also want to have the freedom to live my life, to actually spend time with my kids, to actually have kids, to travel the world, to do all those things. That's the person that I help. How I help them. So we sit down and we cast a vision. These are my 3 steps for my system. First thing, cast a vision. And imagine your vision, your multi-million, if not billion-dollar idea is already here. It's already in your head. So that's where I help you. I help you pull that out, right? Like, let's talk through it. Why do you feel like you need to put boundaries around it? Imagine if there was no objections. You had an abundant flow of money. You had an abundant flow of time. What would you do? What would you do when we craft that vision, that definite purpose together? And then we step into the second step. So the second step is called vehicle. So we move from vision to vehicle. Vehicle is about strategy. So how are you going to deploy it? And we look at using one of my methods called the offer tree. So for these multi-passionate people that have a lot of ideas, the offer tree is perfect for you because it helps you take everything out, just like dump it, but organize it so that there's intention. And that is like, it's one of the best experiences to watch someone just let go in that moment. It's just so cool. So from vision, vehicle, then we go to voice. So what do we put out in the market? What are we saying about ourselves? And how are we showing up so that we have this organized way of presenting branding and messaging that resonates with our target audience. It's not about serving everybody. It's about serving the right people. It's about serving the people that we're called to serve. And you'd be surprised how big that pool of people really is. Like, it's really, really big. One of my clients, she, during our discovery call, before she stepped into our system, I asked her what her financial goal was. And she said, I just want to make 10K a month consistently. And nonchalantly, I said, okay. And she was like, I mean, I really want to make 10K, like hopefully by this year. And I said, sure, and I'll see you on the 15th and da 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 da. And she was just like, like I could see her face during the Zoom. And so we met up and we went through the vision, and I could see sparks flying, and I mean, creativity was really shining through. We go through the SMART goals as well as part of our system. And when we got to the offer tree, all these ideas, and I'm there as a strategist, helping her organize it and giving her ideas of what's already in the market in demand, right? And so she's excited. And I asked her the question again. I said, so how much money do you want to make? And she's like, I can easily make $157,000 a month. And it was like, you could see her shift, like her confidence changed. She had clarity of what she wanted to do. She was excited about her business, and she created boundaries so that she could create the life that she truly desired, working part-time, right? So, so we did that. So we working towards that 157. Now, we met on the 15th. She presented an offer to a client on the 16th. And on the 17th, it was accepted for $40,000. So when we say that anything is out there for you and anything is possible, it truly is. It's like when I hear it's impossible, right? Impossible doesn't exist. Like the word was created by scary people, like people that just lived in corners and crevices that never did anything with their life. Impossible doesn't exist. It's not a real word. Right. Possibility is real. And so when we create something in our minds and we create a plan and we put it out into the world, people will accept it. That's just as easy and simple as it is. So a part of what I do is just simplify complexity, simplify the complicated in business and marketing so that people can make money and scale past six figures.
Don't you guys just love Melinda? I mean, she's become a good friend of mine. She's like, I was going to say right down the street, but she is not far from me in Tampa. And I am just so blessed with your presence. And if this was for you, if this was just like ringing all your bells, and I'm like, okay, sign me up. It's just so inspiring because this comes from her heart. Her system is just proven to explode, and you just want to work with Melinda. Like you're saying, you operate on different levels. This is not just about business, and this is not just about financial freedom for people. This is also about really stepping into their own integrity, setting those boundaries in life, right? It's not all about one thing, right? It's the multi layers of change and stepping into the limitless possibilities.
Yes, 100%.
So
there are no limits.
There are no limits.
There really aren't. I think we get confused sometimes with gravity, but gravity is there to protect us, right? If we didn't have gravity, we would just float all around the orbit. Like we would float around the entire orbit all the time, right? But gravity is there to unify us and build partnerships and build communities. So we have to see it as a grateful opportunity. But that's the only thing that's holding us down. Like everything else is just there for us. Like the next step, whoever's listening to this, the next step, the next dream, vision, goal you have is already all of the pieces. I promise, all of the pieces are within arm's reach. They are already there. You don't need a big following. I don't have a big following right now as of the time of the recording, right? You don't need a lot of things. You don't need a lot of money. You can just do it with creativity because that's where it starts anyway. So we just step into that vision, that dream, that goal that you have. All the pieces will just naturally fall into place. And it's not woo-woo. I promise you it's not. It's just how it is. As human beings, we focus on what we can see, what exists, what's grounded,
Mm.
but everything else is not grounded.
Mm.
It's not just like we can move and create and define whatever our reality is
Mm.
and let it work for us opposed to against us.
Yeah, I love it. And we're in a society now where we have so many options that it's like our minds are spinning. And I think this is really the time where it calls for really helping people through the steps. Like we know how to get them from A to B during all our stumbling and endless of resources and stuff like that. And the fact that we can serve people at a level where we can say, ABC,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here with you, and you have a community, and I'm going to be a cheerleader because I want you to have the easiest, quickest way for you to get results, for you to live your purpose, right? For you to live your dreams, and they're endless. And when you're done dreaming that one, trust me, they're going to be more dreams, and I can help you with those too. Or you can do it on your own because you're ready to fly like the butterfly.
Mm, 100%.
So
I love that.
I really
I love that.
appreciate having you here today,
Yeah.
Melinda. What an inspiration. Now I have like material now for the next many episodes of stuff. I love this conversation
Good.
with you. It's such an honor to have you here today.
Yeah, honor's
We're
mine.
going to share a link for you guys to be in touch with Melinda and start your life today.
Absolutely. And one thing, Trina, I want to share with everybody so that everyone understands this. It starts with your mindset. Like
Mm,
doing the time in, that's where it starts. If you want to make more money, it starts with your mindset. What are you telling yourself? What are the lies? What words are you using? The smallest thing. Are you affirming goodness in your life? Are you being positive towards other people? Right? Like, are you putting out the energy that you would like to receive?
mm,
It starts there. If you want a better relationship with your family, your husband, your kids, yourself, it starts
mhm,
with mindset. Like if you want a better relationship with God, it starts with
mhm.
mindset. Like, who are you? Who
Wow.
are you showing up as? Taking that
Yeah.
time to think is the number one thing that people don't do enough of is
Mm,
think. Not
mm,
just like instant like gratification. I'm talking deeper,
yeah.
like answer the questions: who am I? Who do
Mm,
I want to be? And how do I believe I will get there? When
mm,
you insert the word believe, you will get responses back that you may or may not have known that were in you. And you have to really revert a lot of those things to positivity and
mm,
goodness and just love and
mhm.
peace for yourself first, so
Yeah.
that goodness will be naturally just
Mm.
attracted to you.
Yeah, so really
Like for like.
yeah, so like, kind of flushing the inside and intentionally and focus wise shifting, right? You got to shift your intentions. You got to be focused on more about what you want,
Yes.
those mindsets that don't work, really be paying attention to that. And that's the stuff that we have to shift because that's where the limits come, right? It's all kind of in our head and what's conditioned from the society and the way we grew up. The possibilities are endless, but it starts with that mindset. So anybody can
100%.
just anybody can start there. So I love that advice, and that's kind of that first step to making that change and taking the leaps into the
Yes.
future. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Melinda.
Ooh, this is
Any final words, any advice before we end for today?
if you're listening to this and you're struggling to really absorb what I'm saying or anything that's been said today, I want you to practice gratefulness.
Hmm.
So for today, just today, I want you to practice counting all the things you should be grateful for.
Hmm.
Starting as small as you need to. Grateful for being able to hear, grateful having Wi-Fi, grateful for having a phone, grateful for having a TV, grateful for having light, grateful for having a sun and a moon and air. Like, just start to count all the things that you're grateful for, and you'll see that after time, your energy will change, your mood will change. And then just practice it every day. You could do this anywhere. It's more powerful to say it aloud because you're saying it to yourself, but you're also hearing it at the same time. So I would just practice that as a homework activity. If you're just kind of feeling like, I want to listen to this, I want to hear it, I want to absorb it, or maybe there's a struggle that you just feel like I am just alone in this. There are some things that we can control, but gratefulness, we can always control gratefulness. So I just wanted to share that as a last token.
I love that. So write it down, speak it to your family, start practicing. I've certainly had a lot of clients in my life that was actually really uncomfortable speaking that out loud at the dinner table because it's new,
Yes.
right? So practice it, start in your head, maybe start writing it down and start speaking it with people. And it really shifts. It really shifts. So thank you, Melinda.
Awesome.
It's such an honor.
Yes,
really appreciate having you here. And
this is so much fun.
See you soon.
Yes, we will. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.